Struggling, my mama on the last dollar. Hustling, man, I've been putting in these hours. The government been trying to take away with sours. Really all about the money and the power. I just wanna see my people in power. Tell me how we gon' shape this vision. Complaining all day, but in the same condition. If you wanna make change, it's gon' take commitment. Some people enslaved by their religion can't emancipate the fundamental principles. What I see through optics transform the wisdom. Watch me use my prophets, get them on the list, and I've been on a mission. And I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless, and I really can't help it. I never felt selfish before.
All right, team is now off the clock. Adam Schefter, can you tell us about their newest player?
Well, there isn't much to say other than this kid was born to run. He's the spitting image of his father, a nationally ranked sprinter in several major events and highly recruited by every major college. However, unlike his dad, he chose to pursue a career in football, and so far that decision is paying off. He may not be gold medal fast, but he has the speed and quickness to cause fits for the opposing team. He's the type of player you like to see out in the open field where he can make moves a lot of other players can't. The coaches are going to love having his speed at their disposal.
When I feel this way, and I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless, and I really can't help it. I never felt selfish before. I've been living so reckless, I know. Tell me, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me? It's just the way I feel. Mom's been wasting so long. And I really can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm living on restless. I said, Lord, can you help me? I never felt selfish before.
The Rams are now on the clock.
I know. Tell me, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me?
Rams have just made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about it?
I think if you go back and look at his all-star performance, you'll see what kind of linebacker he can be for this team. He was a tackling machine during the all-star game, one of the few defenders to finish with over 10 tackles that day. But what scouts liked most out of his day was his sense of awareness and ability to read where the ball was going. He played with confidence and never let the option or play action catch him off guard, finishing with several tackles in the backfield. The GM loved what he saw out of him during All-Star Week, and it was a no-brainer taking him with this pick.
Coast to coast like
The Rams are now on the clock.
So off my rocker got me sipping club soda. Some bombs never go off, some stars never blow up. I'm pitching in, never in the dugout. Reaching in my and I can't take a head count. Flashback, 03, things was looking rundown. Now I set foot in the place, it's a luau. Killing like 10 counts, y'all know how we get down. House with the fence around, y'all know that we en route. Transition from the Impala to the Fisker. I should charge admission for that to get the dessert. Left the doors up, now the Lambo has pigtails. Since you getting comfy, I'ma let you sit there, I'ma let you stay there. When I shed a tear, they didn't have no care, so I'ma charge retail. I brought some cause you say you want set. If you love sick in the room, you best get well. Every dog has its day, what the no tuck. Sway Lee, Winter Magazine, double XL. Floss with your Gucci on, dipped in colors burst on the cars and the jewels. I'm a wanted man. Seats looking like they got a spray tan. When I was without, not a helping hand. I got some guys that throw it back and make me drop the cans. I told Ben Frank just to drop a pin. I could let my fit go to the highest bid. Yes, I might drop in It all depends. Junior high, I was dreaming of a Benz.
The Bills are now on the clock.
I mean, not a spec. My girl be serving looks. I can the chef. Katana sword popping out my walking cane. I'm overseas, my Cali Bay like how was Spain. We getting to the money and you having issues. I bought a and it came with a wetsuit. The Buddha left me without breath. I really am a mess. I'm mooching off myself. She be hoping that I take a knee. Yes, I be open to that shrimp life. This is how we live, this is how we exist. Love the kicks and we love the hits. All in the house and I'm wrecking. If I sleep, I'm on record. I'm in my own world, throw the money up and make my own weather. Mommy playing, tether on leather. Money talk, it's a lecture. 80 pointers dance on me, it's electric. Don't hate, I'm still unaffected. Chipper on my shoulder, I move undetected. She said,
The Titans are now on the clock.
deflected. Man, that made my boy, then my brethren. Let's cut to the chase. It's only on the house when we in the place. My used to lava boys got it up in some flames. Stirring up the cup with my wrist souffle. Shaka Zulu chains with my name engraved. I told you on swing, don't say my name in vain. We bring it to your door like, you rang? Spending all the money, then we watch it boomerang. With the Fendi belt, angry face like, put some gold on my fingers, neck, and shoestrings. Long time no see, that's what they say when they see me, man. I've been going crazy just to stay sane. Hey, your girl went missing, who's to blame? Young whippersnapper with a range. Pause, then I went to range. Call that hottie on my stage. Long week, but a great day. So it got me like sage. And on me, you should get a raise. On me, yeah, you can hate.
Like the way it sounds, Frody? Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe. Just let me breathe for a minute, man. Just let me breathe for a minute.
The Falcons are now on the clock.
Breathe. It's too hot, drop the top off the wagon. Lay back, fire like dragon. Man, I'm flying past Saturn. Out of here like I ain't that savage.
The Giants are now on the clock.
It's like I'm at the studio.
The Colts are now on the clock.
You can hear me dancing on the beat.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Dancing on the beach, 100 Latins in your lobby. That's what happens when you're around with body. And I put that in my mommy. I will never give my heart to a rocket. Just make a dance that goes with this song. Then I'ma be on. Basic, gon' dance to it. Basic, everywhere, gon' dance to it. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover.
Let's go to Adam Schefter now, who's got more to say about the Browns' latest pick.
Coming into the season, several scouts had him ranked as the top linebacker prospect entering the draft, and what followed was a flurry of media attention. The constant distractions looked to have taken their toll on him as he struggled to put together consecutive strong performances throughout the entire season. This inconsistency had him all over the experts' draft boards on a week-to-week basis. Even Todd McShay wasn't immune to the ranking roller coaster, having him anywhere from the number 2 to the number 10 linebacker available. This pick will be looked at as a bit of a gamble until he's able to prove he has the mentality it takes to turn in great performances on a week-to-week basis.
Every day, get, ride around Queens on a jet ski, it's me. Every day, get, to the day I die. Every day, get, man, I that, and I that, bouncing up and down, nearly broke. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover, let me breathe for a minute.
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
For a minute, man. Just let me breathe for a minute. White Range Rover,
The Packers are now on the clock.
As we go on, like we do, when it's hot outside, I wanna just chill with you, what you need, to make your little mind at ease, there's a little sunshine in the summer breeze, yes, right, baby, if you feel the same, let me know, and let me know, yes I do, what you got to lose.
You done made it to see a whole nother summer and it feel good. Stop now, top down through the neighborhood. Let the wind blow, open up the window. That girl is poison like Belleville DeVoe. We have a barbecue to do FO.
The Chargers are now on the clock.
And the plates of food will be laid out for free. Little kids, get down. I have a bus pull up with Tommy the Clown to do the jerk, go to work and do that dance that'll make your whole body hurt. Playing Bombardier, calm and clear. This that time of the year for everybody to be boisterous. Rock with Snoop Dogg.
The Dolphins are now on the clock.
Like we do, when it's hot outside, I wanna just chill with you, what you need, to make your little mind at ease, there's a little sunshine.
The Dolphins hoping to fly high with Bryant.
Sources have told me that it was his impressive college All-Star Game MVP performance that solidified his positioning as one of the most sought-after defensive backs in this year's draft. He has a nose for the football and a willingness to attack the ball as it's in the air. Instincts are a trait that simply can't be taught, and many draft experts have compared him to a young Deion Sanders. If there's one knock on him that I consistently hear, it's that he needs to work on his tackling mechanics and strength. One scout even showed me film where he was shown struggling to bring down bigger backs and receivers one-on-one. He'll be meeting with a team nutritionist and strength coaches in the coming week as his new coaching staff feels that if they can bulk him up a bit, he'll win those battles.
The boulevard we go till we can't go no more. It's me and mine, it's summertime. You go off and we go on.
As we go on, like we do, when it's hot outside, I wanna just chill with you, what you need, to make your little mind at ease.
Adam Schefter with the inside scoop on Tucker.
Long talked about as a top 3 defensive back prospect, his draft stock fell dramatically after a series of consecutive struggles late in the season against inferior wide receivers. Many speculated that these struggles were due to a series of nagging injuries, a theory which may have been validated by his strong performance at his pro day. I was able to talk with several GMs about him at the Combine, and they told me he possesses the raw physical skills needed to become a top-tier NFL defensive back. 3 skills in particular were mentioned by every GM I spoke to: exceptional physicality at the line of scrimmage, a nose for the ball, and better hands than most receivers they've seen and scouted. The reason for his collegiate struggles may forever be shrouded in mystery, but they'll soon be forgotten if he's able to realize his full football potential.
Adam, what can you tell us about that last pick?
He was dismissed from the team earlier this year after reportedly not showing up to several organized team activities. This immediately raised some red flags among scouting circles around the league. However, I've been told that he came off as very sincere during the Combine, telling teams that he was a team player and he won't make the same mistakes again. That sounds good on paper, but this team will find out very soon if he can back it up.
They both pay respect to me. I get in my way from Friday to Friday. My girl is a mix of Aaliyah and Sade. I came a long way from that Marvin and I pull out the driveway like I'm in a car chase speeding.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
She know I'm leaving. No text, no call, but at
The Packers are now on the clock.
no time to change clothes, same clothes. Love if you're living by the same code. G code, leave. You do that to me, back to my destiny. Penthouse, bird's eye view, that's a nest for me. I got myself out of debt, so when you see me, know you somebody I'll never need. Sacrifices. So many sacrifices. Straight up. I done gave up so much free time, knowing time ain't free. I sacrificed it. My girl showed me love, she know I make sacrifices. And if it's real love, then you make sacrifices. To get ahead, man, you gotta make sacrifices. That's how hungry my appetite is. Yeah,
cut the drama out my energy. Focus on it, inner me, never on it, enemy. And I done sacrificed my own time. I done sacrificed my own mind. I done sacrificed the club life. I done sacrificed my love life. But I cut the drama out my energy. Focus on it, inner me, never on it, enemy. And I done sacrificed my own time. I done sacrificed my own mind. I done sacrificed the club life.
The Saints are now on the clock.
I done sacrificed the thug life. Diamond shining, ain't no dull light. Drop my top to get my mind right. Pull up in the Rari loud pipe. Them the dime, my wrist a Hyundai. Ooh, yeah, Gucci Python. Ooh, yeah, she play with her. Yeah, I bought that new charm.
Adam Schefter now with the inside scoop on Rodgers.
I'm not surprised to see him taken with this pick, given he was probably one of the most dominant defensive linemen in college this season. His combination of athleticism and set of pass rush moves gave college offensive linemen fits and gave him talent is available. You need to take him. If his performance has the potential to be a playmaker on the defensive line for years to come.
That's gonna wanna make your friends come. Make way with the time. Tell me.
Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice? Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice?
10 toes, yeah, you gotta stay down, eh? Just some yawn, looking for a way out, eh? People watching, yeah, I gotta skip town, eh? Hit my phone if you need a hold.
I done made sacrifices. So many sacrifices. Straight up. I done gave up so much free time, knowing time ain't free. I sacrificed it. My girl showed me love, she know I make sacrifices. And if it's real love, then you make sacrifices. To get ahead, man, you gotta make sacrifices. That's how hungry my appetite is. Yeah. I know my great auntie.
Well, if you're wondering what the delay is, I think we've got a trade coming here.
Sacrifice she made, I could only imagine all that she had to take. I'ma make sure all the she gave wasn't in vain. I sacrificed for your entertainment, boy. I miss
The Seahawks are now on the clock.
last name is all facts, and the human race is all about pace. Look at all the ones I outlasted. I'm the one at the end, like I count backwards. Never satisfied, details classified till the afterlife. Make a sacrifice down.
Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice? Why can't y'all recognize that we all came from sacrifice?
愛してよ私を抱いてよねそばにおいでよ私の最後の日を
The Jets are now on the clock.
君の愛を残したい
Polo to the flow though. You already know though. It's Adamville for real. You see ya. Just take a photo. I'm reppin' that's on photo.
The Bears are now on the clock. Pick's been made. Let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about the player.
He was the recipient of a Hail Mary pass that went down as one of the biggest moments in college football this season. What Matt Miller told me was, it sounds like he should get all the credit for it. As he described it, he did exactly what a coach wants his receiver to do in that kind of situation. He kept his eye on the ball as he ran downfield, boxed out the defenders in his area, and finished with an athletic, leaping grab. We knew he was one of the better receivers in college, and that play basically showed us why. This team just added a potential offensive weapon to its arsenal, and I look forward to seeing what he can do on Sundays.
With what you say, show me what that.
I hear him talking.
The Giants are now on the clock.
Kill him softly with my press, won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, but this the best. Hey, don't you see me out here shining, barely flex. I hear him talking reckless, I won't even stress. Just kill him softly with my press, won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, this the best.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Gonna live forever, live forever.
Daddy pants say White with 3 S's. Pick the S's, no S's on my chest, but all these diamonds got me blessed. Usually I don't do this. Dumb it down, go stupid. Since 17, been counting M's, my bank accounts on Goofy.
The Panthers pick is in. Adam, did Cam Newton get some help?
Setting a single-game team record for tackles for loss, he's quickly earned a reputation as a fearsome defensive lineman with a devastating rip move. Ross Tucker had him ranked as the top defensive line prospect in this year's draft, saying there aren't even many current NFL offensive linemen with the quickness and footwork needed to neutralize him one-on-one at the line. Adding depth on the defensive line is always a positive, and when you can add an impact player of his caliber, you've set up your defense for immediate success.
When you want it, mind the kind of give it hope when they down and out. Dig a hole so deep, ain't no climbing out.
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
I won't even stress, just kill him softly with my press. Won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, but it's the best. Don't you see me out here shining?
The Rams are now on the clock.
Talking reckless, I won't even stress. Just kill him softly with my press. Won't even address. They say it lonely at the top, it's the best. And even if we die today, don't live forever. Live forever.
Yo, listen, just like I told Coco, my vision is you already know though. So go, slow, back my logo, for show, Coco, get down on the. Yo, listen, just like I told Coco, my vision is you already know though. So go, slow.
The Chargers are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock.
Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Every day I'm shot callin'. I'm a spring.
Let's go to Adam Schefter now, who's got more to say about the Dolphins' latest pick.
He was one of the favorites to come out of the pro days purely for his want and desire to do everything the coaches and scouts asked him to do. He ran drill after drill, sometimes a second or third time, using a different technique. He didn't necessarily kill any single drill, but what he did do was display the ability to take instruction well and a great ability to adjust to different scenarios. He's a defensive back I can see playing any role in the secondary with some aptitude. We'll just see how the team plans to use him come September.
Just to let you know I'm ballin'. I'm a strike. Make it rain just to let you know. Yeah, you cannot see me, the windows is tinted. Yeah.
The 49ers are now on the clock.
Special shit, it should be rented. But that is none of my business. Money won't stop me, go straight to the top. Believe it or not, you like Guinness. Yeah. She know I'm a rock star. Looking at my chain on my diamonds rock hard.
The Bills are now on the clock.
And if you wanna raise, then we gonna ride. Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Yeah, you know I've been ballin'. Every day I'm shot callin'. I'm a spike. Make it rain just to let you know. I've been ballin'. Yeah, I've been ballin'. Yeah, just to let you
I see both teams filling out cards. You know what that means? We've got a trade.
Been fighting 85. I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe.
LOV on my right leg, that's Gucci. Dig what I'm saying? LOV on my man, that's Poochie. Dig what I'm saying? Caught a little jet lag, but I'm golden. Yeah. We deserve Grammys and some Oscars. They deserve Whammies, they imposters. I be rolling with my project homies. It's a vibe. I just put the homie. It's a vibe. Over switch sides, it's a vibe. Yeah. I gon' do it. I gotta accept that I'm a. I pull up in several different options. That I would most ever. I shatter your dreams with this cream I make. What? Gotta be on the thinker. I say. What? I can't feel my toes, but ain't gon' fold up. I was in the double law when I rolled.
I've been rolling on the freeway. I've been riding 85. I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive. I got anger in my chest. I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe. I've been rolling on the freeway.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
I've been thinking way too much, and I'm way too gonna drive. I got anger in my chest. I got millions on my mind, and you didn't fit the picture, so I guess you want the vibe.
Dig what I'm saying, Chanel drapes on me daily. Dig what I'm saying, sponsored by Mercedes. Dig what I'm saying, this Creek alone is on me, baby. Dig what I'm saying, I'm going hard, yeah. I pop in your memory. You should be glad I'm showing you sympathy. I gave you pure love out the gutter. Ever let you go, you gon' suffer from it. I gon' do it. I gotta accept that I'm a. I pull up in several different options. That I would most ever. I shatter your dreams with this cream I make. What? Gotta be on the thinker. I say. What? I can't feel my toes, but ain't gon' fold up. I was in the double law when I rolled.
Hold on now. This pick is trading teams.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be.
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
You can't leave it's too much, but I'm tired of you, me on. And I don't like where this is going, and I've been stuck in all your apologies.
The Titans are now on the clock.
But you want it all from me. Keep your love, it doesn't feel the same. I hope it hurts you when you hear my name.
I stay myself, I never change, yeah. Do whatever, get you paid, yeah.
But I still love.
The Browns are now on the clock.
My cell phone, still 33 for low. Ride to my dog sitting in jail. It's that lighter on the grass, spin it back, roll. I'm on Keller, I'm on Besham, I'm on Flat Shore. I'm at Magic, I'm at Bally's, let them go. Then it's right back to the when I'm low. Bars never close and we wide open. Kicking flavor with me, neighbor, yeah, we local. Rap the bottom, cause the bottom where we come from. Me no pray for little paper, need a lump sum. Real spill, yeah, a recipe, yeah. Broke, real, little rich. Fall in love with her, she just wanna be a VIP with her. Don't blame me, oh, they just shake me.
The Browns have just made Bowers their newest player.
With this pick, we see a tremendous physical talent that fell out of favor with many teams based on reports that he struggled memorizing his playbook. These struggles were cited as contributing to several key mistakes in late season losses. A 3.7 grade point average student studying humanities, the explanation for his lack of football knowledge was puzzling to many of the scouts and GMs I spoke to. Other sources have told me that if the reports of his playbook struggles are indeed true, it may be more of a reflection of his previous coaching staff than his mental work ethic. They feel that making the jump to the NFL provides a clean learning slate for him. I expect his new coaching staff to bring him along slowly, and because of that, I wouldn't expect to see him getting any immediate on-field action until he demonstrates a mastery of the playbook.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Don't blame me, oh, they just shame me. Had to get it how I got it on my own 2 feet. Don't blame me, I'm what the game made me, not what the fame made me. I won't let it change me, I'm the same man.
I stay myself, I never change, yeah, yeah, yeah. Dirty soul to treat me like a stain, yeah, yeah, yeah. Do whatever, get you paid, yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll it from the cradle to the grave, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Redskins are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock. Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
Every GM I've talked to has told me that their eyes lit up every time they watch film on this guy. He was such an offensive weapon in college that he often saw a team's #1 and #2 cornerbacks line up against him, and he routinely dominated them. Not only is he an outstanding receiver, I've heard from many scouts that he's one of the better blockers they've seen in this draft class, including offensive linemen. He's a guy that's going to get a lot of reps in training camp and a chance to make an immediate difference on this team.
The Cowboys are now on the clock. The Jaguars are now on the clock.
How come nobody's at the podium? That's because both teams are right now working on a trade.
The 49ers are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. All right, let's go to Adam Schefter, who's got more on this pick.
Every year, a handful of prospects turn down their All-Star Game invitation, so a second round of invites are always sent out. He's fortunate to have been one of those last-minute additions this year, and he didn't take the opportunity for granted. He was the guy all the scouts fell in love with all through practices and game day. His performance was impressive enough in the game to slowly creep up the NFL draft boards, and he's being taken here, which is much sooner than most experts predicted.
Mad at me cause I'm shining. They ain't seen it when I'm young, out here grinding. It's okay, yeah. Either way, young, getting paid.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a trade.
They don't want with some money in my pockets. It's okay, yeah. Either way, a hater always gonna.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
Mad at me cause I'm trying to feed my. I'm supposed to make it out and I don't bring my. No way, yeah. They ones and they here to stay, yeah. I heard he's always hating, said I never.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Talking with them. It's okay, yeah. It's okay, yeah. I heard he's mad at me cause I'm getting money. I heard he's mad at me cause he's on me. It's okay, yeah. It's okay, yeah.
I heard he tryna lie me, but I ain't no dummy. It's okay, though, got it, you really want it. I spent 13 on the ring and now I feel unlucky. Hey, she love my diamond ring, she said she wanna touch it. It's okay, I get 30K just to hit the stage. Hit my Michael, in my Michael J. I get cake, I can knock them.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
Kid in the second grade, selling lemonade, get paid.
The Saints are now on the clock.
Yawn in a break for like I'm.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Snake, get paid. Get left every day, so get your straight.
I heard he's always hating, said I'll never make it. I heard he's always talking with them. It's okay, yeah. It's okay, yeah. I heard he's mad at me cause I'm getting money. I heard he's mad at me cause he's on me. It's okay, yeah.
The Colts are now on the clock.
Mad cause I'm trying to feed my family. Why I gotta watch a friend more than an enemy? I had to stun on the dad I'm supposed to stunt with. Had to cut you off, you was on some dun. You was supposed to be my dog, why you hate on me? They say success, turn your friends to some enemies.
The Bengals are now on the clock.
You act shady, yeah. But I guess it's okay. My mama told me you would show me your ways, yeah.
So, Adam, what can you tell us about Walker? It's a tough pill to swallow when you are doing everything you can to prepare for the combine and you push yourself to the point of injury. That was his case just 2 months ago. And once he was injured, it was goodbye to pre-draft evaluations for him. His draft stock may have taken a hit, but it didn't stop this team from picking him up. He should be good to go before camp, and it's great to see someone take a chance on him.
It's okay, yeah.
Picture me putting my city all over the map. They wasn't believers, I had to get even in mad. We coming up, pulling up, jumping all over your grass.
The Lions are now on the clock.
So tell them I got a new girl. Tell them that I'm begging.
The Rams are now on the clock.
I need 20 models. Smiling in my grave, fresh to death. I've been Wu-Tang winners.
All right, now that the pick's in, let's go to Adam. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
While he showed potential in school, he turned in one of the weakest performances of the defensive linemen at the All-Star game. Anytime he was on the field, they lost the battle in the trenches, giving up rushing yards and giving the quarterback plenty of time in the pocket. Matt Miller told me he got stood up by any offensive lineman he was matched against, and struggling to get off the block removed him from a lot of plays. He needs to develop some moves if he's going to get by blockers. You can't just rely on strength alone anymore, especially not in the NFL.
What you mean? And now
The Saints are now on the clock.
Hold Hold up. Whoa, 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 whoa. What you mean? Woo. Hold up now. Don't know what you think of compared.
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock.
Adrenaline pumping, the blood will be leaking and running. Yeah. I got a new girl. Wait. You tell the that I'm in the bank and I want all my money in hundreds. I'm tired of living on the edge. I want it, they gon' call the feds. I just bought a cost an arm and leg. My mama told me take it back and get a job instead. Where's your common sense? Me and the devil got too much in common, I swear. Yeah. Born in the ghetto, I never had nothing to fear. Take it how you want it. I ain't famous like I want it, so I might just throw it if he fit. Call up Cassie after she broke up. That knock off your lid. I thought you gon' pop off, so hop off my. What you mean?
The Saints are now on the clock.
I said, what you mean? Listen, I don't trust her. So, no, I said, what you mean?
The Titans are now on the clock.
I said, what you mean? You thought I was finished. You thought it was over.
The Eagles are now on the clock. The Eagles are now on the clock.
Put a partner rapper here like Mo.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
I'm cooler than a cup of yogurt. Black flag boy, truck soldier. I'm cool with laws and Ayatollahs. Rap gods like Klops and Ogre. I'm King Kong, ain't nobody told you. You think Rome still. And Bobby Brown about to go get. Paul McCartney, I'm rich. I'm Muhammad Ali, I talk. I'm James Brown, about to tear down this. I'm Michael Jackson, them bad as bad, gon' get it. What you mean?
The Lions are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock.
Yeah, pulling up with
the Rams are now on the clock.
Done sang with the roof.
Oh my goodness. The Bills are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness. I would take notes if I were you. Oh my goodness. This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north. Oh my goodness. Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw. Oh my goodness. The law, it's a shame, rhyme. Crime. It's a shame they let us jump out of Bentleys with dirty vans. Hit the stage for 15 minutes, get 30 bands. Swiss bank counting clean money with dirty hands. With some hood that's ready to with the. Since I came in and made my name a name brand. French. Paris clubbing like a caveman. We threw up the pyramids, now they say we Illuminati. I'm a tsunami, what the is a little yachty. No blood diamonds, I rock gold like a king. Jewelry so cold, made them blow the nose off the Sphinx. You think I'ma be some type of role model? I go full throttle, desperado, that's the motto. Vic in Chicago is Hugh Hef at the grotto. Brazilian model, she mean mugging like Frida Kahlo. Drinking it with an Alicia Machado. I'm the ticket, you just hit the lotto. Pulling up with the crew. Oh my goodness.
The Chargers are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness. You sitting looking stupid on the stoop. Oh my goodness.
The Bills are now on the clock.
This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north. Oh my goodness. Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw. Oh my goodness. The law, it's a shame, rhyme. Young Vic, the diamonds, finest. I shine like Puff Shine. Shines if I sign to the rock, cause I'm timeless. Top off the Mozzie, my behavior is mindless. On kids, we major, you minors. Fresh out the cell to the booth. Drop
the Chiefs are now on the clock.
Shoot, hope, with a club.
The Packers are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock.
What you know about what's Velo? Why Barry Lee, your head ringing?
The Titans are now on the clock.
This that music, you can blame Reagan. I'm ball mayor without paying. Y'all playing, we playing.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
That's the sacrificial lamb.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Pulling up with the coupe. Oh my goodness. Must have done same with the roof. Oh my goodness. You sitting looking stupid on the stoop. Oh my goodness. I would take notes if I were you. Oh my goodness. This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north. Oh my goodness.
The Colts are now on the clock.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The law. It's a shame, rhyme, crime.
Every other night I'm outside with the. You ain't got chips. The world, you got chips. You could the next man's girl.
The Rams are now on the clock.
Depart my world. The way Kiss told it should never be misquoted. The that you wave on the camera, we've been toting. Selling love potion.
The Browns are now on the clock.
The downloads could never match the kids. We could go foreign until it's boring. My sheep will keep jumping the fence until you're snoring. Street poetry, I'm more Wale for Lauren. Till the world is mine like Illmatic and Lauren. Written on a to a table full of fresh skin in the type of rappers we know. Got the right numbers on it. Burn the Carter down like I'm Nino.
Pulling up with the coupe. Oh my goodness. Must have done same with the roof. Oh my goodness. You sitting looking stupid on the stoop. Oh my goodness. I would take notes if I were you. Oh my goodness. This was designed with the stars, the square and the cross, so we know true north. Oh my goodness. Smiling with 50 carats in my jaw. Oh my goodness.
The 49ers are now on the clock.
Crime.
The Bills are now on the clock.
Legging with the we dump it off like V. Ramonovic. Sorry, homie, you know we not friends, it's off of politics. Politics never get to see who really running. Now you know who running. You rappers on punishment. Papa dog, they be lying on they rubber. Everybody scared a little linky man is evident. Like
the Raiders are now on the clock.
Talking about millions of mother. 301 screaming 4-4 on my Louis.
The Packers are now on the clock.
Pretty much for a gold, black and yellow with the boots and the gold suit. We had the go-go last week. We don't really care who got it last week. Riding under me, the blog and really bumping me. Go some bad. You don't want no problems with a GD, CPG. I'm the king of the streets. I never had to struggle when it to a beef.
Well, wait, looks like both war rooms are feverishly back on the phones. I think that means a trade is coming.
He ain't rapped this hard in a long time. You street, all Vita dudes and eyes. Homie, always say to the guys.
The Saints are now on the clock. The Eagles are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Got a bad thing in they la. Why with some keep my north side bumping north with a deck. When I was a baby, I was wildin' for respect. You gon' get your with the set. Around here and talk crazy, you get we ran so many out of here. Wonder why young Licky never had a fear.
The Raiders are now on the clock.
You gon' get peace. Anybody ever ask what happened with the bleach? Running from they almost had me when I slip. Way back, I almost started yeah. Around the same time, bumping till I burst a tip. I ain't know who went harder, maybe
the Titans are now on the clock.
So busy from
the Rams are now on the clock.
Look where you came. I don't give a
The Bills are now on the clock.
Style and I need my change. DMV, I'm a the year. Legging with my feels. Rapping, but I'm quiet when I'm near. Always black.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
We don't need no checks from
the Dolphins are now on the clock.
Respect from the boys.
The Saints are now on the clock. The Titans are now on the clock. The Eagles are now on the clock.
Yeah. Young Gerald. Yeah. Die line with the boom pow. Every week now I switch to a new style. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything
spill on me, that's Margella. Got this Oakland game to tell her. She look familiar. At Coachella, what's her name? Isabella, forget it, yeah. It's like a week ago, but we both know how weekends go. Tryna function, got some places we could go. Lot y'all got me speaking slow like, yeah, I'm blessed. I don't GA, you tryna, yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less. Yeah. Say less. Hey girl, what it do? If you got friends, cool, bring a few through. No fun if the homies, man. R.I.P. Nate Dogg, this too true. And you know what I'm down for. Round 2, round 3, and a round 4. Mood switch when she knocked at the front door. Next up was the uproar. Yeah, was like a week ago, but we both know how weekends go. Tryna tuck off, got some places we could go. Swear she got the like wow, she's blessed. I don't GA. You tryna yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less.
Sheesh. What you saying? I don't understand. I'm out my mind. I popped. Sheesh. I swear this lock shot got me stuttering. Girl, you not fall in love again. Sheesh. Get it. My favorite rush. You talkative, ain't gotta say too much. Be quiet. Who got some grapes? I'm trying to. I'm all ball for these. Get in. Not complicated. No conversation. Get in. Not complicated. No conversation. Please say less. Please say less. Please say less.
I'm blessed. I don't GA. You tryna yes on yes. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less. Say less. Say less. You ain't go. Say less.
Honorable C notes.
Yeah, little fish. I say, Lord, be my savior when it come to getting this paper. Please protect me from my haters. Just say me and I won't favor. Say amen. Yeah. That boys in that can't win. Check. Going up. We in it, we gonna. Going up. Did it like my persona. Going up. Ripping up was honest. We used to drive them Hondas. Then we pull up in the furnace. Go up. Walk in. Show up. with the fan up. I got Santa. I go monkey. Up that. Gonna do just what I say. Pull up, fastest Uber in that race. She so bad, but she said. I feel guilty, I might as well just plead my case. I say, Lord, be my savior when it come to getting this paper. Please protect me from my haters. Just say me and I won't save. Say amen. They boys and they can't win. Check. Gonna. We in it, we gonna. Gonna. Till they love my persona. Gonna. Remember them was honest. We used to drive them Hondas. Now we pull up in the Fondas. Glow up. Walking. Show up. Baby, hold up. Glow up. Boys, don't touch. We glow up.
You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy dare try to twist up the truth. How dare you twist up the truth? Look, you're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy dare try to twist up the truth. How dare you twist up the truth? Wanna come round there like a bad boy, do it. Want all the talking, go on and do it. Running through the party, bottle up. Rolls in my ear saying storms, don't do it. Double on my shoulder, I don't lack. Getting with the business, I don't scrap. Even when I'm bar, I'm so used. See ride, but there's no car and no match. What you talking about? Clown, stand down. Never had a thing, never had a pound. You were never bad then, you ain't bad now. Never had them, then look back down. Wait, I saw bare kicks, saw bare clothes. Said not that, I can't wear those. I don't like them, they're not my thing. They went silent, they're all weirdos. Like yeah, storm's gone clear. Never had a Tom Ford or a Montclair. Man, them I can't, but you see my Don there. Tell them don't do it, don't dare. Don't care who you know from my block. You're not Al Capone. They can take my car and my creps. I'll still do the road in my socks. Like who's gonna stop me? You, him, little man. I got blue slims. Don't be an idiot. Move smart. I've been killing it. New king. You ain't ready for my new stuff. You're a boy by yourself. Go and group up. And when Crep went states for the BTs, I was covering Crep like a boot cut. If mad, it's a family thing. Straight family thing. Dumb man, I broke no salary thing. Had a young thing called Amy telling me to come round hers on a Valerie thing. Hashtag Murky Academy thing. You were like art and the gallery thing. Dumb boy there wanna chat about bars, wanna chat about. You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the you. Man, know that I kick up the you. Them boy there try to twist up the truth. How dare you twist up the truth? Look, I'm too hot. I got money in my shoebox. I'm the man of the house when my show sold out like the brother from the Boondocks. Beat Swan in my boombox. Still meat from the stew pot. Man, I'm go sick when my tune drops. Little man, that's a hooplo, not a hoopla. What? Pronounce it right. I got magic, I'm down to die for this. I don't care, bro, I'm down. Man stressed, so I'm bound to like my slips. Wait, I'm bound to ride for flips. Real G's gonna ride around to this. Man, I got no time to write at this. I never left my 9 to 5 for this waste man thing. I don't care what rave man's in. I came here to relax, but if it gets mad, make a young boy take man's things. Try to tell me I'm way too big to rebel. Nah, man, you're never too big to rebel. I was in the O2 singing my lungs out rude, but you're never too big for Adele. Leave my yard, blow a kiss to my girl. Salute to my sister as well. Gotta keep trophies down at my mum's bit. Man, I'm getting way too big for my shelf. Man, I see bare MCs on the sideline, but I still got a couple bangs in the pipeline. Man, I got grown men at me. You're getting way too old for the timeline. You're getting way too old for a diss. Should've looked after your kids. Get out the booth, go home.